Hello, music lovers. Welcome back to the Woodshed. I know it's been a while. We've been touring a lot with Gary LaVox and all the summer shows and all the festivities that take up one's tour season. However, in the midst of all the tour season, I made a purchase, and that purchase is none other than a 1969 100-watt super lead amplifier from Marshall that used to belong to Eric Johnson. Let's check it out. So before we get started, there's a couple of things I want to hit really quickly. One of which is the Woodshed guitar experience. We're almost sold out. We've got just a few slots left. This year we have Eric Johnson, Brent Mason, Andy Timmons, Mark Lettieri, Greg Cox, Seth Rosenblum, a plethora of manufacturers, and some very special friends of mine that will be coming and hanging out all weekend. We like to leave a little something for the surprise. We're not going to announce everything. Don't give it all away. Leave something for the game, as they say. So with that in mind, there's a contest that we're holding now with Sir Guitars. I have an album coming out, and on that album, there's a section of music that I just trimmed out. I shipped it over to my buddies at Sir. They made a package. You go and you download the track. You videotape yourself playing over that track. You sign out all the forms, get your hashtags, ats, and all the things that you need for the internet. And you play a solo over that section of music that's on my new record. The winner gets to come to Woodshed for free. One more time, that's Woodshed Guitar Experience. For all of the details, not only for the contest, but also to grab one of those few remaining slots. Again, we're almost sold out. That's woodshedguitarexperience.com. All right, if you enjoy the channel, hit like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Now let's dig into the video. So let me tell you a little story about this. Obviously, you guys, if you follow me, you know that I like Eric Johnson's guitar playing. He's been one of the biggest influences on me for several reasons. The biggest is he's a song guy. Like, he writes great instrumental songs that I really can remember. It's not just a bunch of licks for licks' sake. The second is obviously his tone and that sound. He's been known as one of the greatest tones in all of electric guitar. And I've been chasing that sound, or a version of that sound, all my life. Being an alternate picker, a darker, thicker, warmer sound is really nice because I can dig in and it not be too painful and brittle. The other thing about Eric is his tone never really sounds dated. It just sounds like a great guitar tone. And I've always loved that. Sometimes tones can sound like an era, which can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing. And one of the things that I learned from listening to Eric, and I learned what I like, was chasing a very vocal kind of sound, something that just allows the guitar to sing. Eric has always been known to use vintage instruments, vintage amplifiers, things like old Twins, even Dumbles for the in-between sounds. However, I think the most legendary tone comes from his Marshalls. And you're probably saying, how in the world, Andy, did you get one? So let me tell you that story. So Eric is known for using late 60s 100-watt amplifiers. Now, recent years, he's been downgrading that wattage, 50 watts, even exploring some other alternatives. He has some hearing problems, and 100-watters just are punishing. They're just super, super loud. And Eric is the tone that I always think of, obviously the fuzz face on the 100-watt, but man, the Butler tube driver into the 100-watt Marshall, that's the sound, man. Austin City Limits performance in the bandleader coat, man, that is one of my Mount Rushmore moments of guitar and guitar tone. And of course the Marshalls are back there, the big 100-watt Marshalls. I personally don't have a Butler tube driver, but I'm trying to come close to that sound, boosting with Gearbox. Gearbox has two different sides, and I can kind of manipulate it to get me in the ballpark. Now, you noticed on Zap I was playing my model guitar. I think that was important because I didn't want to just try to get too far down the rabbit hole of, man, I better use a Strat with a stacked humbucker with only one coil running. I mean, there's no way I can really get to Eric Johnson's tone. I just got a backing track off of YouTube, took a swing at Zap, and that's the intro, right? I wanted to play it on my guitar. That's something that I developed, and it's like, I mean, you never really get your hero's tones anyway. It's never really going to be that. So it's all about just what are the qualities, right? So the qualities of the old Marshall is headroom. It's got so much headroom and so much punch. It makes the articulation of the notes jump forward. That's one thing that I struggle with overly compressed or overly mushy amplifiers. When things are really small wattage and they're meant to do soaring lead tones, I find that it gets really mushy. And that's not like a dark or bright thing. By mushy, I mean how the note comes out of the speaker, like the speed and the intensity that it blooms out, right? It doesn't just kind of fall out like, say, some Class A amplifiers or 20-watt amplifiers or even this old Deluxe right here. The notes kind of fall out, right? The 100-watt, that's why I like the Diesel Herbert. It's got 180 watts. It's just immediacy, and that's one of the things that I think allows a dark tone like Eric's, and even my tones, if you've got JUNKTOWN and Truth and Lie, my tones are really dark, but what allows them to come through is the articulation is still there with that punch, and that only comes from those big 100-watt power sections and transformers. Okay, with that kind of nerd jargon out of the way, let me tell you how I came across the amplifier. If you guys have JUNKTOWN, there's a song on it dedicated as an homage, a thank you, if you will, to Eric, and it's called Back to Austin. I have a friend of mine in Kentucky. We'll leave all names out of it just where nobody gets hounded. I don't know who likes publicity and who doesn't. But I have a good friend in Lexington who has an amplifier that he bought from Eric. And I used that amplifier. It was a sister to this, if you will. And I said, man, if you ever want to sell it, let me know. And he's like, I'm never going to sell it. However, he loops me in a group message with another guy who lives out in Arizona. They bought those amplifiers from Eric at the same time. Both of them are big music nerds like me. And they saved the shipping labels, all the proof of it being where it came from. Also, Eric is very peculiar about the preamp tubes being a certain thing. Now, I'm going to get into that and find out what those tubes are, but both guys said, this is what you got to use in the preamp section. This is what Eric likes. These are the settings, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, cool. This is really great. If you ever decide to come off of one, call me. Just knowing that I'll never hear from them. So a few years pass since all of that conversation happened, and I get a call this past December. And Guy, we'll call him Guy B. That's our Arizona guy. Guy B says, I think it's time. And I said, man, don't mess with me like that, And he said, yeah. He said, I like your playing, and I want you to have it. And I want it to kind of stay in the fold, stay in the family of, I said, man, please, let me play it. Let's do it. So he brings it in. He lives in Tennessee in the summer, so he brought it in. No shipping, right? Wanted to get it, and without being beat up by UPS or FedEx or something, right? So he brings it in. And the amplifier is missing the logo, which I think is kind of cool. I need to maybe try to get a logo for it, whatever, side point. But I plug it in. He's like, hey, here's the EJ settings. I was like, oh, yeah, man, we all got them, And I just was like, oh, my God. I started going for it. And holy cow, it's awesome. Now, late 60s plexis are known for a lot more things than just the EJ thing. But with it previously belonging to EJ, I immediately started chasing that thing, right? And within 20 minutes, I had it really close, and I was just kind of laughing. I was having fun, pretending to, be cool and play all my favorite EJ licks. So, long story short, it's ramen noodles for a day or two because they are expensive now. If any of you have priced a late 60s plexi or metal face, late 60s 100-watt super lead, you know that they're very, very expensive. And it's worth it. I will say this, it's worth it. One of the things I told my buddy Ben Eller, and I was talking to Rhett Scholl and some of the guys all the friends, Tim Pierce. I was texting everybody, I found one. Holy crap, I found one. I've had all my buddies looking for years. It's like, hey man, if you ever find one. Because I don't want the modded thing, right? I don't want the modded Marshall. I feel like if I wanted that, I'd get a Friedman, right? If I wanted that, I'd play something else. Play a Bogner or whatever. I wanted the unmolested, not modded, plain Jane Time Machine from 1968 or 1969, right? So I got it. It's amazing. It's all the things I wanted it to be. And of course, it can do so many other things. And we'll get into that maybe in future videos. Maybe I might try to separate it out. I think it's too much information for one video. But today, I'll just take you through it on the Eric Johnson settings. I think that's the best place to start this journey. And then in the future, we'll try some Hendrix settings. We'll do the Van Halen thing. You know, Van Halen 1 and 2 was on this same amplifier. And we'll do all those things in future videos. I just want to tell you the story of how I got it, how cool it is to be a curator of this amplifier and a custodian, if you will, of such a legendary piece of gear. It is now the bookend. As you can see it behind me, it's now the bookend to my collection. My old Fender is right here from 1963, and now my beautiful 1969 100-watt Marshall Super Lead. Another interesting fact is this is my first Marshall amplifier. I've played JCM 800s, and I've played all kinds of different Marshalls over the years, JTM 45s, whatever, in studios. You know, always been a flavor that I go grab if I needed it. I've just never owned one. So I've always held out for the one, for the Arthurian legend, Excalibur Marshall of Marshalls. And I'm happy to say that I've got it. This video, we're not going to go all over the board. We're not going to do the jumper thing. We're not going to get into any of that. We're just going to enjoy the Eric Johnson settings of the amplifier as with the EQ set like he did. Now, of course, I don't have an original Echoplex. I don't have an original fuzz face. I don't have a Butler tube driver. If anybody wants to donate those to the cause, you can do so through Patreon and help me get those. I'll use those in a future video. I don't have those items. So what I'm going to be doing is using my work board. I have two main boards. One is on a tractor trailer right now with Gary LeVox's gig. The other is right here. And I'm going to be using this board, which has a Sir Sheba, a Wampler Pantheon, of course, gearbox, a Woodshed compressor. It has my basic goodies that I use in front of my Bellas and Lone Stars and other amplifiers, right? So we're going to just dig in, just play. I'll use the old streaming microphone, and we'll get direct sounds and not camera audio so you guys can check it out. I'm pleased to say that this amp is now in my possession permanently, and I hope you enjoy it and the way it sounds, and we'll see you real soon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are with the old whiskey. This is my new number one. It's kind of overthrown all my other guitars. We'll take a quick lap on the Strat and the Les Paul as well, but for most of the video, just going to be using this. This has got the new woodbuckers in it. I really like it, and it sounds really good. So let's dive in with nothing on, just the amplifier by itself on the bridge pickup. So it's pretty dadgum dark. With that said, these are the EJ settings for the Marshall. So the next thing I'm going to add in is the Woodshed. The next thing I'm going to add is a Woodshed comp. And then I'm going to add in a little graphic EQ, a little boss EQ to kind of compensate for the kind of cleanish sound. So now I'm brightening it up a little bit. Which sounds really, really good to me. For the record, let's bring in some delay, just because it'll be nice to have a little bit of sauce. This is the Strymon timeline. There it is. Already that's really getting good to me. That's a really great sound. So the neck humbucker. The middle two. The two inside coils. I really love a Marshall clean. I do. Not clean, but cleanish. Now I'm going to put the back woodbucker into series parallel. This is back humbucker. Now I'm going to put it in series parallel. A nice faux chicken. Great sound. All right, let's jump over to another pedal. We're gonna bring in the Sir Sheba. So it's like way more boxy, but really good. This is kind of like your green pedal, your favorite green pedal boost. You can already start to see how it does the violin thing automatically. Okay, the next pedal will be the Pantheon, really quick. And lastly, we will have the gearbox. Obviously, this really does the thing, the EJ thing. So starting left to right again, my cleanest setting on this amp. Strat sounds amazing. Now let's go to the Sheba. A friend of mine said it's got that little kiss on the front of a note, and it's like that little chirp, if you will. Sounds really great. Really glassy. Okay, let's go over to the Pantheon. It's a really nice kind of like a pseudo fusiony kind of tone. All right, so with the tone rolled back to around 8.5 or 9, and the gearbox, it really starts sounding like the Cliffs thing. And that's pretty fun, pretty great. Let's jump over to the Les Paul. All right, so here we come with the Les Paul. It's really great for those like 90s kind of. Kind of sounds are really great. Neck pickup. Let's jump to the bridge pickup. Okay. All right, here comes the tube screamer. Kind of got that thing going. Let's go to the Pantheon now. That same kind of pseudo fusiony kind of thing. Really great on the bridge pickup with this guitar. Neck pickup. You kind of see why Joe Bonamassa uses Les Pauls and Marshalls, right? Makes those fives, those cascading fives, really sound great. Now, lastly, the gearbox, which is the thickest, darkest. That really sounds really good to me. Nicer on the bridge, though. On the Les Paul, it's a little nicer on the bridge. All right, so without changing the settings, we'll be doing a lot of different videos. These are just the super dark Eric Johnson EQ settings. But yeah, it sounds really good. You push the amp. It's a really pure circuit with not a lot of stuff involved. So it's kind of the, you know, you got to remember, it's like in the 60s, there weren't MIDI switching and all these preamp gains and all this stuff going on. So it's a really, really nice, pure circuit to go through, and kind of brings your playing to life in a different way than a super modern, super colored, compressed kind of thing does. This is all about what are you going to put in front of it? You know, what's your chord fundamental tone? What are you going to put in front of it to push it? And you can hear the differences in the guitar is pretty drastic. So with that said, hope you enjoy the video. Cheers. All right, thanks for hanging out. If you enjoyed the video and you want to see more goodies, jump over to patreon.com/AndyWoodMusic. I have everything from lessons, tablatures, tones for axe effects. There's like an entire timeline wall with over 700 posts on it. Everything from weekly live masterclasses to one-on-one lessons. Everything that you'd want is at patreon.com/AndyWoodMusic. Throw some beer money in the bucket, keeps the lights on, helps me hopefully get a fuzz face to go with this amplifier, right? Keep making these goodies for you guys. WoodshedGuitarExperience.com in August. That's August 24th through 27th. Join Eric Johnson, Brent Mason, Seth Rosenblum, Mark Letary, Greg Cogg, Andy Timmons. It's going to be a great hang, a great weekend of music. We only have very, very limited slots left. It's almost sold out. If you're interested, please jump over there and join us in August. It's going to be an amazing hang. Thank you guys for hanging out. We'll see you real soon.